Focus. Proven Techniques to Improve Your Focus. Written by Charles Jensen. Narrated by Nicholas Santacier. Introduction. Our culture is shifting to the shallow, superficial, and quick fixes, whether you like it or not. The ability to focus is becoming rarer, and those with a short attention span are increasing. How can you resist this trend? How can you stay away from distractions and stay concentrated on what matters most, so you can use your time more efficiently and get more done? That's where this book comes in. It provides the answers you are seeking. To deeply focus on one thing and become an expert or perform the task flawlessly or to satisfaction is a skill that can be learned. You can train yourself to become better at focusing. Let me assure you that these statements are based on solid research and discoveries by professionals, and that their findings may, at times, shock you. The power of true focus is beyond our comprehension, and with all the phones ringing, kids with ADD, or interruptions, it has become an art, something that many employers and coworkers in society are looking for. Focusing leads to success. Have you ever seen top athletes, businessmen or women, graduates, or impressive artists who weren't able to focus for an extensive time period? Don't wait and learn from the secrets unfolded in this book, so you can learn to focus better and become better at what you do. Succeed better by concentrating without becoming scatterbrained or chaotic. I will see you in the first chapter. Chapter 1. The Culture. When I visited Bangkok, Thailand, there were signs at the SkyTrain stations that had a phone and a big X through it, indicating that you shouldn't be on looking at your phone all day long. Then it said in English underneath it, "Talk to each other." There were other signs with different symbols and a similar message as well. This was several months ago, in 2017, and one could only wonder if the future is going to be worse. I don't know if people in such a large metropolis talk to random strangers in the train in the first place, but I still saw it as a sign of the 21st century problem. Distractions rule our lives, and the addictive social media and phone notifications are a huge part of it. Distractions have always been around us. Even before the mobile phone age, there were still advertisements, vendors, and screens everywhere in the city. Each and every one of these are designed to catch your attention, something we get less and less these days. Social media. I know people who are on Facebook all day long. In fact, I hardly know anyone who isn't on Facebook at least once or twice per day, and there are a lot of people who made sure their phone buzzes every few minutes because someone liked their post, commented, or sent a personal message. Have you ever been in a room full of phone zombies? These are people who sit in the same room but don't even pay attention to each other. Now, when nobody knows each other, like in a waiting room at the doctor's office, the train, or somewhere else, the consistency of the group may not be ideal for conversation. I even have in-laws that have absolutely nothing in common with me, and when I see them, I hardly talk to them. They aren't interested in me, and when I ask them a question, the answer is short and unrevealing. But nowadays, it's even more common to just sit there with people you love, know, or care about, and see everyone in their own world. Screens are a major influence, whether it's television shows with all the loud, fast, flashy commercials, video games, notifications, little videos, internet, updates, or anything else. I know a guy who makes passive income by doing affiliate marketing and video courses. He is well off and found clever ways to build his wealth effectively. However, despite his financial success, he sometimes has a hard time sleeping, because each time he gets paid by PayPal, his phone buzzes. With his many great businesses, his phone buzzes a lot to tell him he received $10, $52, $238, or any other amount. His curiosity is too big, so he usually doesn't turn off his phone at night, and sometimes it keeps him awake. I have to admit that I would sign up in a heartbeat for success like that, and he makes more than 5 times as much as I do. But personally, I would turn off my phone or put it in a different room. By the way, screens have a negative effect on the melatonin in our brains anyway, so it's always smarter to turn off a screen at least 30 minutes before you try to sleep. But that's a whole different topic. Speed. Speaking of television, have you noticed how much faster screenshots have become? Go ahead and watch a movie from the 70s or 80s, and then one that was produced last year, or this year. One of the first things you'll notice is that everything has become faster. While in those days a shot could last up to 10 seconds, people have now become accustomed to seeing someone from a different angle or having the camera turn around the main character every 2 seconds or less. Of course, certain scenes have been made to emphasize action and movement more than others. But I hope you can still see the shift that has occurred over the last few decades. Do you know why this is? Well, one of the reasons, besides the improved technology we now possess, is that people have reduced attention spans nowadays. They get bored more easily, so if the screen isn't showing a lot of variety and action, they zap away the channel, start doing something else, or complain that it's always the same. This trend has become worrisome to many. Patience is an even more important virtue than ever before. Receiving attention. News flashes are addicting because people are extremely curious. Connecting online, no matter how disconnecting it really is sometimes, is addicting. Many people lack attention. Their parents may have done a good enough job, or not, but they still crave more. It's one of those endless things that never stops. Celebrities should be the ones who would feel satisfied with all the attention they're getting. But even they don't always feel like the spotlight is on them enough. Have you ever wondered why? Because when it comes to attention, it's never enough. I recently put some videos on YouTube and was amazed by how many people found my videos and started watching them. I found myself checking my YouTube stats more often and feeling like a celebrity myself. I mean, the whole world could see my videos. Doesn't that make me famous? I was immediately overwhelmed by the addictive nature of this, and I began looking up tips to get more subscribers on YouTube. All the things people go do to get attention. Wow. Putting things as gone sexual in their videos when they weren't related to that topic. Putting a woman's picture with cleavage as the thumbnail to get more clicks. Or putting a stupid V like a check mark behind their title. Hey, it's all marketing, and it's important to rank high. I understand that. But a lot of people didn't even do it for money, business, or real passion. There are channels out there that have thousands of subscribers and no clear product description. What is their channel all about? Well, about them. And some of them cheer and go nuts when they hit their 10,000th or 100,000th subscriber, even though they're hardly making any money. They don't care. It's all about the attention. It may seem to you that all of this went into a different direction than the original topic of the book, but let me come back to that. There is a point to all of this, which is, attention has become a rare possession. Everyone is trying to get it from others, but there's only so much you can give. No person in this world can pay attention to everything at once. Some people are better at multitasking, or keeping an eye on one thing, while doing another. But for most of us, there's only so much to give. We have a limited attention span, especially when we are tired, stressed, or thinking about other things. And in a world where everyone is fighting for it, you have to consciously decide how you are going to divide your attention. No wonder burnouts and stress are more common. If everyone wants our attention, but we only have a limited amount to give, then it can quickly feel overwhelming. Value your attention. We need to change our attitude. So many things don't deserve our attention. We simply have to say no to all these distractions around us. Distractions that take, but do not give back. We have to quickly decide whether or not the thing we pay attention to is going to give us what we want. A better life. A task done. A better relationship. True entertainment, not all the stupid fluff. Or more knowledge about something we can apply and use in an effective way. These invasive demanders of our attentions need to shut up. They need to stop. When our little toddler is talking to us, it may be time to pause the TV or turn the volume down. When our wives are asking us to help in the kitchen, it may be time to close our laptops or turn off our video games. And when our boyfriends are trying to get through to us, it may be time to delay a text message to a best friend. When we turn our computers on and decide to get things done, we may have to say no to checking Twitter more than once per day, or scroll through a bunch of Pinterest images. When advertisements are everywhere, we may have to ignore them and walk straight to our destination. And when a movie is plain stupid, we may have to choose to turn it off or fast forward it to the last 10 minutes, so we don't waste more time on it than necessary. Yes, time is important too, but I think our attention has become one of our rarest possessions indeed. Everyone craves it. Everyone is trying to get it, and it has become harder and harder for many to give it. Many people have become lonely because others aren't interested in them anymore. Instead of starting a conversation in real life, they check their messages on their phone or tablet. People feel ignored, and when they do, they only put more effort into promoting themselves and their lives on social media to gain more. Of all the things we want and need, food, success, education, knowledge, talent, sexual gratification, entertainment, money, and challenges, I think attention and fame have become the most sought after, perhaps even more than sex or money, in a tragic age of increased narcissism and self-centeredness. And there lies our challenge, focusing on what matters most and not wasting our time or attention on things that demand such valuable assets but don't provide any fulfillment. What is focusing? There is a difference between the verb and the noun of the word focus. Since it will be more applicable to the statements discussed in this book, let's look at the definition of the verb. To focus. To pay special attention to something. The definition of the verb concentrate is similar, which is this. To concentrate. To focus one's attention or mental effort on a particular object or activity. When we talk about focusing, just try to see it this way. The sun spreads its rays across a particular side of the globe. When you are in the sun, any surface exposed to it gets a similar amount of light. However, when you hold a magnifying glass over an object, the rays of the sun gather and have a deeper impact on the object underneath the magnifying glass, so that it becomes hotter and lighter. The same way with focusing. The more you zoom in on something, the more of an impact you will have. Benefits. Why focus anyway? You don't have to, right? Well, being able to focus comes with certain benefits. Don't underestimate those. The benefits of focusing are, among others, 1. You have a sense of direction. You achieve more because you start acting instead of reacting. You target what you do, and you do things that lead you to your target. Having a goal to work towards is something that a lot of people lack. It seems to be the norm nowadays to aimlessly follow the crowd, with all the trends in music, sports, apps, games, and television shows. Even stupid memes on the internet go viral because people search for they don't know what and just happen to come across it. Then they share it, and somebody else becomes distracted. If you are focused, however, you choose what deserves your attention. 2. You stay motivated. Your focus will help you think and act with your goal in mind. Nothing has to push you towards achievement, because you stubbornly resist all the temptations and distractions around you until you're there. Have you ever wondered why motivational books, videos, and gatherings do so well? People need it because they get distracted so easily, and they find it hard to become motivated because whatever they're working towards isn't attractive enough or seems too far away. However, every time they get distracted, their accomplishment gets postponed a little, and they have to snap out of it to get back into hyper-focus mode. It's hard to stay motivated, which is why some people achieve success faster than others. The ability to focus has a lot to do with it. 3. You climb out of the rut of life. Think about it. Would you become any different if you keep doing what you've always been doing, or what everyone else is doing? How is a sudden event online, a social media video, or the latest divorce of some celebrity really going to help you become healthier, wealthier, or a better person in your relationships? If you want to go somewhere, you need to look at it. Your sense of direction matters, and you'll become who you want to become if you stay focused on that. And when I mention these benefits, I am not even talking about the positive effect on your relationships yet, the improving of social skills, and the ability to better observe and react to what you choose. The brain develops in a different way, and instead of being apathetic, You become more involved in your surroundings and the people who need that attention so much. Chapter 2. Disorders. There is no doubt in my mind that people with a specific personality disorder, or even certain tendencies because of their position in that spectrum, have a higher risk of getting distracted. ADD or ADHD. Someone in my family has ADHD, and even though he is a very intelligent person, with his own business, a college degree, and success in many aspects of his life, relationships, and achievements, he sometimes has a difficult time focusing. He is more easily distracted, and that's just how it is. He is a drummer, which is something I've seen more people with ADHD do. When he decided to make a few quick bucks and teach drumming to children, he said that all he got was kids with the same or a similar disorder. I don't recall his exact words, but he explained it like this. The parents don't even care if I teach them drumming skills. They just dump their hyperactive boys in my lap and say something like, "Just entertain him. It doesn't matter what you do. We'll be back in an hour, and thank you so much." One set of twins just started wrestling on the trampoline. Another kept asking questions about all the objects in my room, and another boy couldn't even look at me for more than a few seconds. It was really hard to teach them drumming, because all of them lacked the skill to focus. Autism. This is not all. I have 2 cousins with strong autistic tendencies, and they are glued to screens. Always. When their father tells them he sees an airplane outside, the boys shrug and say that they see those all the time on television. For a long time, both of them played video games for over 8 hours per day, talk about focus, and wouldn't pay attention to anything else or take care of themselves well enough. As we can see from this example, autism is another disorder that causes problems with focusing. But wait, you say, are they better at focusing then? Yes, but only to those things that most appeal to them. Addicting things like video games, screens, or computers capture their attention more easily than people or things they choose to focus on. I've seen it so many times, and those I know who have autism in one degree or another always seem to lean towards screens. Screens are their world, which is not always a bad thing, because society has a need for those who work with computers, but for many of them, it may be difficult to shift their focus away from the bright light shining at them from a digital source. Another thing about autism is that it can cause difficulties processing all the impulses around him or her. I know someone who goes crazy if 2 people are talking at the same time. He just can't stand it, because he has a hard time focusing. I know others who are overwhelmed by all the sounds, colors, movements, and other things happening around them. Their mind processes all these things more slowly and has a harder time separating them, thus causing chaos in their thinking patterns. I know some people who have signs of Asperger's, and they confirm the same thing. There are so many things happening around them that they don't know what to focus on anymore. Schizophrenia. Schizophrenia. Same thing. I personally know a couple of guys who have it, even though one of them denies it, and they are pretty scatterbrained at times. Focusing seems to be one of their most severe difficulties. Narcissism. And let's talk about narcissism for a moment, a word I briefly mentioned in the previous chapter. With all this attention-seeking behavior in the 21st century, the selfies, and the obsession with being noticed on social media, it's starting to look like mankind's true nature has become more evident. Almost everyone wants to be in the spotlight. Everyone wants to be good-looking, or to be considered successful or happy. Making others jealous seems to be something many desire, and not everyone has the guts anymore to show their true colors. Pictures of happy families, screenshots of last month's earnings, and selfies at distant vacation spots show the world how much status and success we've acquired, almost giving us the impression that there is nothing wrong in their lives. I remember a moment like that. I had a good month in my business and made more than 3 times as much as my usual salary. Yes, I worked hard on it, and I was pretty proud of my accomplishment. But more important than the money to save up, pay our bills, invest more, and eventually, perhaps even pay off the house, seemed to be the attention. People in social media platforms were impressed, and I have to admit that I loved the attention. It was addicting. Another time, when I was still single, I was at an event for youth. Many people there already knew each other, and as a newbie, I stood out. What was interesting was that there were more girls than guys, and when I arrived, a lot of the girls flocked towards me to get to know me. I had known girls before who had a crush on me or were particularly interested in me, even a stalker or two. But I had never been this popular with the other gender until that moment. That weekend was a lot of fun. And no, don't draw any wrong conclusions about sleeping around, because I didn't do any of that. Because I talked and got to know many girls in a short time period. When it was over, I lay down on my bed and looked at the ceiling. And suddenly, it dawned on me how addictive that feeling was. That feeling of being popular, being liked, being considered as attractive or eligible. I was shocked with how much I liked it. What is the point of all this? That I had my one moment of popularity? That I like social media too? That I made a lot of money? That I am just an attractive guy? Well, the point, actually, is none of that, of course. The point is that I felt what it was like to become self-centered, and that it surprised me how much I craved the attention, even though I am well aware of how I feel and consciously make decisions regarding that. If I can fall for it, so can everyone else. And that's my point exactly. I think social media has created more narcissists in two ways. One, since our parents become more obsessed with themselves, they don't give us enough attention, which causes us to crave it even more, leaving a gap in our souls, hungry for being noticed. And, two, even when our parents give us enough attention, we notice the world around us and think we always need more anyway. But who cares, right? Just think about it this way. People who are only focused on themselves, guess what? They have a harder time focusing on other people or other projects. How narrow-minded is it to think of ourselves as the most important, tiny person in this vast universe, or even on this big planet? So yes, in my opinion, narcissism is a huge obstacle to our ability to focus, because each time, we feel a strong need to shift our focus from what we are doing, whom we are listening to, or what we want to finish, to ourselves, to all the likes or retweets, or compliments, or our own twisted self-image. Advantages of disorders. In a general sense, disorders can sometimes be helpful. Science has shown that those with ADD or ADHD can become hyper-focused on something they are passionate about. They become young entrepreneurs, and are more likely to take risks or seek out adventure. Those with autistic traits sometimes have a huge imagination, become stuck on one project, or ignore the world around them when doing something on a screen or something practical, like fixing cars or studying a certain topic. Think of the nutty professors in society who invent new things. And those with narcissistic traits can be so focused on their individual success to show off that they are more likely to perform at a high level, since their inner drive is to prove to everyone how wonderful they are. Deal with it. It's not all black and white, and disorders are a blessing and a curse. It's how you deal with them that makes the difference. All in all, it's up to you. If you have a disorder or just traits of a disorder, whether you let it stand in your way to focus, or use it to your advantage to focus more on what you want to achieve. For more books about personality disorders, I recommend these ones, which go deeper into the specific symptoms and treatments of various disorders. Obsessive-compulsive disorder. Narcissist. Borderline disorder. Bipolar disorder 1. Bipolar disorder 2. Schizophrenia. Chapter 3. General distractions. We talked about some distractions before, so let's line them up one more time. I'm sure you can think of other ones, but these are just some of the most important ones I can come up with. Keep in mind that none of these things are bad by themselves, but that, if we let them, they can distract us of what we should be focusing on. Notifications. About 20 to 25 years ago, people didn't have cell phones or tablets, and those who did only used them for calling or typing. After a while, people thought it was status, or it made them look important, when they were on the phone in public. And nowadays, almost every phone has some internet data and receives instant notifications from PayPal, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Gmail, and multiple other apps. None of these are bad by themselves, but they can be a major distraction. Unless you make a lot of money with them, turn them off. Employees or employers. They can nag, interrupt, or demand your attention when you're focused on a task. Sometimes it is better not to respond, depending on who and what it is. News updates. Limit them as much as possible. Emails. You don't need to check these all day. Just once, twice, or 3 times per day is usually fine. Social media buzzes. Turn them off as much as possible. Memes. Yes, they can be funny or even inspiring, but these too can be a big distraction. Try not to actively look for them. They don't help you much in life. People. I don't even know where to start with this. Let me just keep it short and keep it at the fact that they can interrupt and demand your attention. Other sounds or noises. Music, noises, crying babies, talking, traffic sounds, and a lot of other audible distractions can get in your way. I sometimes work while listening to music, and some people can. That's okay. But just know yourself and realize when it's too much. It depends on what you do, too. When I write a book or make strategic decisions, I have to focus. But when I am copying and pasting text, or doing art or routine tasks, I often have the music on and even sing along sometimes. Movement. Things that move are distracting. It makes sense that TV, with all its flashy shots, can be such a major intrusion into your home. Seductive images. Everyone in advertising knows that if you show an attractive and/or scantily dressed woman, many men, and even women, will immediately forget what they were thinking and stare at the image. Don't let searching for pornographic material or stupid articles with sexy images distract you from what is important. Not only can these things damage your relationships and personal life, as well as the lives of those portrayed in the images, but they can become a huge time waster. Advertisements. All these ads are trying to catch our attention. Don't waste your time too much. You know they're all just trying to sell you something. If you aren't planning on spending money, then why even look at them? Television and video games. Already mentioned. Some people waste half of their lives on TV and video games, especially those games which take a long time, never finish, or require you to endlessly play online to upgrade to the next level. Some people have even died from this in real life by not taking care of themselves and playing too much. The doorbell. Obviously a distraction, but I cannot tell you to just let it ring and not open up, can I? The mail. Well, checking it once per day is enough, I think. Events. These can mess up your schedule. Children. Oh man, really? We have a 2-year-old daughter, and I have to say that some of the most stressful times are when I have to take care of her while doing something else, like doing the dishes or working on the laptop. We love her to pieces, though, and with that, I am not saying I would rather not have children, but just give yourself some credit for putting up with all the sudden demands of a little child. You deserve it. Request from others. I remember when my dad worked in his home office. Whenever the door would open, he would sigh and ask, "Ugh, now what?" Sometimes you need to say no, or get out so you can be left alone elsewhere. Meetings. Some companies try to keep the scheduling of meetings to the bare minimum, just because so many people spend time on it at the same time, and they don't always get much out of it. Clutter. Don't underestimate this. Unnecessary items around you can cause your brain to start thinking about them. When there isn't much in the room, there isn't much to think about. Become a minimalist and find out how free your mind becomes. Take a look at these 2 books for more about that. Hoarding. Minimalism. Furniture. Just like random objects make the frontal cortex shrink by all the chaos around an individual, too much furniture can cause small fractions of claustrophobia and the inability to move in an office, house, or space. This too can become a distraction. Animals. They want their food. They want to be taken out for a walk, or they want you to pay attention to them. Pets can become a distraction at the wrong moments. Newspapers. I don't even read those anymore, and even though I am not judging anyone who does, suffice it to say that these too can be a distraction. Traffic. All the movements and noise of traffic have proven to be a stress factor for those who live in the city. I remember, for example, that I sold something as I knocked on the doors. People in the big city were quick to slam the door in my face and usually said they had no time. But when I was doing the same work at an island with less inhabitants, people were more open and willing to at least talk for a little while. This taught me what research has already indicated, that a bigger population in a small area causes more stress. If you have the possibility, move to a smaller town or figure out a way to deal with the hustle and bustle of the giant city you live in. Radio. So many commercials, so much fluff with people chit-chatting about nothing. Unless you have nothing else to do, turn it off. Clothes. The colors and many kinds of clothes of other people can be distracting, whether they are revealing, cheerful, ugly, or strange. Colors. Advertisers know that certain colors create emotions. Here are some examples of what colors can do to our brains. Yellow is used to create feelings of optimism and warmth. Orange is considered to be friendly and cheerful. Red has to do with excitement, youth, and assertiveness. Purple is often related to creativity, wisdom, or mystery. Blue stands for being dependable, strength, and being trustworthy. Green relates to nature, peace, and health. Gray stands for balance or calmness. Smells. Many restaurants make sure the smell from their food airs out into the street or mall where they are located. They do this because they know that people will often follow their noses and end up buying whatever it is that smells so delicious. Looks and gestures. Nonverbal communication can be as strong as verbal communication. This too can be distracting at times. Disease. If you don't feel good, it's harder to focus. Even though this may not be considered a distraction coming from the outside world, it is something that causes our ability to focus to decrease. Fatigue. Same thing as being sick. If you're tired, you usually lose focus more easily. Cravings. Hunger, thirst, the need to lie down and be lazy, the need for entertainment, sexual appetites, etc. These can cause us to instantly forget about what we were doing and simply give in to what our bodies dictate. Instead of following the masses in this weakness, try to become better at controlling, not suppressing, your appetites, and decide for yourself when it's time for a break. Multitasking. Too many things to do can force you into planning mode, so that you get nothing done. I fall for this sometimes. I keep looking at my to-do list without actually working on it one thing at a time. What I still have to do has become such a burden at those moments that I cannot see the importance of just doing one little project and making progress that way. Toys and hobbies. There is nothing wrong with having those. I mean, in our family, we practice martial arts, participate in ball sports, and are fanatic about musical performances and artwork. But if they replace the money-making activities too much, or attention to family and loyal friends or other valued responsibilities, then they get in our way of having us reach our true purpose in life. Words. They can be on the internet, on billboards, on TV, etc. Some words stand out more than others. I have noticed how they almost always make the word sex stand out, and then just capture the reader's attention by placing it in there randomly. Numbers. One of the things I learned from an affiliate marketing course is that if you put a money number in your YouTube video description, you'll get more clicks. How to make money online may not convert as well as the description. How to make $73,493.63 per year online, or just how to make $200 per day online. And even though these are accurate numbers, believe me, I have achieved those results at some point myself, even though online sales go up and down continuously. And they're completely honest. They do attract more followers, viewers, and potential buyers. There's even something called the shiny object syndrome, which means that people invest into a program, a business, or something else, but then fail to do all the hard work to get the money from it. They are attracted by the huge potential of the business, which may or may not be a good opportunity, but then they forget about it and do nothing with it. And of course, no advertiser says, the only way you can make this much is if you work 15 hours per day for about a year or two, and invest half of the revenue you make back into the business. And even then, you have to be smart about it. No, they simply tell you how much they made, which could be true, but then they sometimes sell it as if it was easy to attract more customers. Panic. Panic can cause us to make huge mistakes, and of course, become distracted from what matters most. Worries. Almost the same as panic, but in a lighter form. Worries can blur our vision of what's possible. More about worries in this book. Worrying, 60 Facts. The tendency to overanalyze things. Sometimes it's better to think things through, and at other times, we tend to overanalyze so many things that we waste important time executing our plans. I know people in the book business who have elaborate stats about every single sale, and try to draw conclusions from it. Although this is not always a bad practice, it can go too far, and in all the time they analyze their previous books, They could have already written a new one or made money in some other way. What a waste of time. The weather and temperature. Too hot, too cold, too dry. This can really weaken our senses. People are real wimps sometimes. I remember it was a pretty hot afternoon one time in the Rocky Mountain area in the United States. We were selling books at a booth, and all people were doing was complain. Most of them didn't even look at our or others' products anymore. All they did was saying, "Can we please go for a drink now? I'm hot." And, "Ugh, I am dying here. It's so hot." Their focus was gone. They didn't notice any of the valuable products the vendors had in their displays. They only walked by quickly, searching for a drink. Try to arrange a good temperature where you're working, because you too are human, and if you're sweating too much, thirsty, or freezing up, you'll be less likely to think about what you are doing. Vendors. Buy this, buy that. Sometimes it's just stores offering free samples, or the screaming headlines or promo days of some company. Again, there is nothing wrong with these things by themselves, but don't let them distract you if you have more important things to do. Dirt or filth. Some people can stand it and don't care. Others can be completely bothered by a little filth or dust. Keep your space clean, so this won't be an issue. Insects. A fly, a buzzing sound, a mosquito, or some other bug can bug you to death. So annoying. So no, these things aren't inherently evil by themselves, but when you want to go somewhere or accomplish something, all of these things can stand in your way. The question is, are you going to let them, or will you resist? In the next chapter, I will help you with this some more. Chapter 4. Exercises. I can go on and on about focusing itself, but the theory isn't the only thing that's important. I've talked about changing your mindset and deliberately choosing what deserves your attention. Here are some tips for specific exercises you can do to improve your attention span and your focusing skills. Just like you have to train your muscles when you want to become stronger, you need to train your mind muscles. They have to be able to stretch their limits, and your focus abilities will improve if you give your brain heavier cognitive loads to carry. 1. Strengthen your willpower. This is essential to focus. You see, a person's mind often wanders off to what he or she wants. So if you purposefully keep telling yourself to focus on that which you want most, you'll be more likely to pay attention to it. 2. You have to be curious. Curiosity triggers people to investigate and do research. It's a natural pull towards what we want to learn more about. It has been suggested that you should focus on a dot on the paper or on the wall. One of two things will happen. Your vision has become blurry, or you have involuntarily stopped looking at that dot, and you're looking somewhere else. However, if you ask yourself questions about the dot, like, for instance, about the shape, the shade, the size, the distance to another object, the perfection, the contrast, etc., then you'll notice that you can keep your mind on it for a longer time period. This is what curiosity is, continuously asking questions and finding answers. Solve the puzzle of life and try to figure things out. You'll be happier and more focused, and eventually more knowledgeable as well. 3. Improve gradually. You cannot go from 0 to 100. It's like building up muscle. If you are overweight and begin to run for 10 minutes each day, you'll achieve more than if you suddenly do a whole hour and only repeat this once per month. Your focus stamina needs training. Your attention span will gradually increase if you go beyond what you are used to each time. You could, for example, do 45 minutes of deeply focused, intense work. Take a 15-minute break, repeat this daily, and then the next week you'll do 60 minutes of work and a 10-minute break each time. It is a marathon, not a sprint. 4. Meditate or take moments to think deeply. Mindfulness and meditation techniques have been proven to calm the mind and increase attention spans. Mornings are especially recommended, and 10 to 20 minutes per day is more than enough. 5. Create a to-do list with things that pop up in your head. Instead of letting your mind wander and the mouse clicks, each time you think of something you want to look up or do, you just put it on a list instead. Then your mind doesn't have to shift back and forth between tasks. 6. Attention spans increase when students and employees work out. Research has pointed out that the brain's ability to ignore distractions is directly related to the amount of exercising and physical discipline they do. Working out also comes with willpower and focusing. As specific sports require people to react quickly to sudden changes, like basketball or football, where you have to change your mind from being on offense to being on defense quite a lot. 7. Be in the moment. Some people call this mindfulness, which basically comes down to focusing more on what is going on. You could, for example, focus more on the flavor of food you are chewing, or observe things around you during the day. Sharpen your senses, and you'll become more experienced in focusing. Tell yourself to be here and now when you're working on a task, and not allow yourself to get distracted by other thoughts. 8. Read longer and more slowly. I know how time efficient it is to read faster, and there are great books about that, such as this one, Speed Reading by Vance Avery. But the trend has become that people are scrolling more and actually reading less. Here are some shocking statistics to prove this. According to several studies, only 5% of readers finish an article they started. Only about 38% get past the first few paragraphs. And only about 75% of Americans read one or more books last year, so 25% didn't read a single one. Yes, there is room for skimming, especially if you're taking in general information. But to dive into a book and really dig in and get all the information out of it has become an art. If you haven't done this for a while, then pick up an interesting book and study it. A habit of reading a few long articles each week is another thing you could cultivate. 9. Memorize a lot. Training your muscles starts with memorizing stuff. Learn a language. Memorize a poem, a verse from the Bible, a quote, the lyrics of a song, or a number each day. Brain training games are a great way to boost your memorizing skills as well. 10. Practice active listening. Have a conversation with someone, attend a seminar, online or live, and try to catch every word and process it. I get so annoyed with my wife sometimes when she says she is listening, but then returns her attention to her phone. Active listening has become rarer and is important for interpersonal relationships and focusing skills. Here is a book about listening I recommend. Listening by Christian Olson. Apart from general tips about exercises, here are some actual exercises that can help you gain more focus and improve your attention skills. Exercise 1. Use your sniffer. Next time you go outside, go to the store, or find yourself anywhere else than the room you usually stay at, intensify the feeling of smelling something. Sharpen your senses and try to detect a certain odor. This doesn't only require you to shut out all other smells, but it also requires you to shut out the knowledge you have about specific objects and their smells. When you see something, don't automatically connect a smell to it in your mind. Instead, really pick up what is floating in the air with your nose, and concentrate on that. This way, you will learn to control your mind and block out distractions. Exercise 2. Focus on blood. Lie down and close your eyes. Relax your muscles and focus on the beating of your heart. Try to not pay attention to any other senses, but just feel the flow of your heart, the blood pumping and flowing to your organs. Picture it happening as you feel it. Exercise 3. Sit straight up with your shoulders back and hold your finger in front of you. The goal is to keep your finger perfectly still. Turn your head, only your head, to the left and to the right, but keep your arm and fingers still. If you focus on your finger, you'll see whether or not you kept it still. Keep practicing this until you master it, then switch sides. So if you did it with your left arm first, switch to your right arm, and vice versa. Exercise 4. Fix your eyes on a glass you're holding in front of you. Fill a glass with water. Put your arm directly in front of you. Fix your eyes on the glass and hold it steady as well as you can. With this, you will gain control over involuntary muscle movements, and you will be the one who decides whether or not you will move your arm. Exercise 5. Sit next to a table and put your hands on it. Clench the fists and keep your hands on the table. Have your thumb doubled over the fingers and stare at the fist. After a while, you'll slowly extend the thumb and keep paying attention to the movement. Gradually extend your pointing finger, your middle finger, and so on. each time you close the previous finger when you move on to the next. Eventually, you'll have a fist again, like in the beginning. At first you may think this is boring, but the more you do it, the better you'll become at focusing, and the monotony of it will disappear. You will have more control over your muscular movements, and you will be better at paying attention to one particular activity. Each time you do these exercises, you need to convince yourself that this is the most important thing at that moment. Like, if someone gave me $1 million if I succeeded, I would continue, wouldn't I? Practicing these exercises daily is an important part of your routine to become more focused. When you gain more control over yourself and your movement, you will gain more control over your demeanor and behavior. Exercise 6. Place a glass of water next to your nightstand before you go to sleep. Picture how calm the water is, and focus on becoming just as calm. People who have been haunted by insomnia have embraced this technique. Exercise 7. Take an erasable marker and mark 2 spots on the mirror. Imagine they are eyes staring at you. Stand still and keep staring at them. Focus all your thoughts on staying perfectly still. If you keep doing this, breathe deeply and make sure there is enough oxygen in the room. This can also improve your confidence and decrease your shyness. A sense of calmness, peace, and power may come over you. Exercise 8. Sit upright in a chair in an upright position. Put one finger against your left nostril. Take a long, deep breath and count to 10. Then breathe out through the other nostril. Do the same with the opposite nostril, and keep repeating this exercise. Do it at least 20 times in each sitting. Exercise 9. Read a short story or article and then summarize it. Remember as much as possible in as little time as possible. If you cannot write out a lot, then you know that you have to work on your concentration abilities. After you are done summarizing, go to your room and speak out loud, as if you were speaking to a crowd and telling them all about the information you just read. The more you do this, the more you should be able to remember more and more details of what you read, and deliver them in your customized sermon to the invisible attractive man or woman in your room. Take notes quickly and write only short sentences and keywords. This is a powerful exercise that increases the ability to take in and present information. Chapter 5. Random Helpful Tips. In this chapter, I am going to give you more tips that can help you stay focused. 1. Practice affirmations and positive self-talk. You have to motivate yourself when you are trying to fully concentrate and achieve things, or check off tasks. If you do, you'll feel more satisfied when you finish your to-do list. Some positive self-talk can include accomplishments from your past, people who were impressed by something you did, inspiration from others who have achieved more, and therefore you can too, and reality statements why it's possible to do what you're doing. 2. Prioritize. Separate tasks so you can distinguish urgent, extremely important, semi-important, and not so important. This way you won't stress out as much, and if you won't get something done, it won't be a major loss. Moreover, you'll be able to focus on what's most important and get that done first. 3. Organize your workspace. Optimize it the best way you like, so you can work more effectively and you won't get distracted by random objects. 4. Don't try to multitask if you don't have to. Multitasking is only necessary in some jobs. If you can avoid it, please do. 5. Don't rely on technology and have a backup plan. I don't know how many times my computer has shut down, frozen, or gets some kind of malware, error notification, virus, or a program not responding or closing without my consent. Save often and have something to do when the computer is acting up. Personally, I like to draw. 6. Don't be a perfectionist at everything. Of course, if you are a surgeon, you cannot make any fatal mistakes. But there are a lot of jobs when things aren't set in stone, the way things need to get done. More often than not, there are multiple ways to do something. 7. Limit your TV and video game hours. Those are extreme time consumers. Sure, watch your favorite movie or play a few hours per week, but keep it limited. You'll thank me later. 8. Just forget about social media. I only use Facebook for business and family contacts. You would never see me scrolling through somebody else's posts. The same with YouTube. I have a few people or channels I am following, but there are so many channels that add nothing to your life. 9. Create your dream life. Visualize what you want and go get it. Stay hyper-focused on that, and don't get distracted by things that don't help you get to your goal. If it doesn't help you make money, get a better relationship, become healthier, or have a little, limited, fun. Then why even waste your time on it? If you want to, you can even create a vision board that can motivate you. Here's a book about that. Vision Board. 10. Don't try to stay updated. You don't have to. So many things that go on in the world don't affect us anyway. Or they do, but there is nothing you can do about them. If you really want to follow the news, limit your time to 20 minutes per day. The rest is often just repetition. 11. Think about your long-term goals. Whatever you do, tell yourself that in the long run, it will pay off, and it's worth the sacrifice. 12. Keep your email inbox empty. Clutter in your inbox can clutter the mind. Keep it empty and delete everything you don't need. Put things in spam if they keep coming back. 13. Lock the door. This way you'll feel safe that nobody can interrupt you. You can let your loved ones or family know at what time you'll stop working or come back. 14. Establish a routine. When things are being done in a routine, it's easier to get more done faster because you'll have to think less and take less complicated steps. 15. Keep track of your time. This way, you'll feel the pressure and force yourself to accomplish more. 16. Have as many things as possible run on autopilot. Set it and forget it. I recently experienced how this could work by setting up an opt-in page and attach it to an email system. 17. Make your money work for you, not just your time. If you can't get it all done, then maybe it's time to take a risk. Write off your business expenses in the tax forms and outsource what you aren't best at or takes more out of you. Doing everything yourself is a harder road to riches. Once you start making enough, you may want to reinvest some money and value your time more. 18. Do something to relax. You need relaxation. Nobody does well under constant pressure. Take a breather and go on a hike in nature. Meditate, or do something else that can help you organize your thoughts. 19. Declutter everything. An empty space is an empty mind, which helps you to focus on your tasks and not on things around you. Some people even rent office spaces that are almost completely empty to not get distracted. 20. Stay fit. Exercising has a long-term effect and creates dopamine and endorphins in the brain. I have had times when I was so emotionally messed up, upset, or frustrated, and after running around on a basketball court, I felt great. 21. Take breaks. The human brain isn't made to concentrate for hours on end. It's okay to take breaks and relax. It may improve your efficiency. Chapter 6. The Power of Focusing Deeply. The moment you concentrate deeply, you optimize your cognitive capacity and go beyond what you thought you were capable of. It's that concentration, that focus, that professionals have been preoccupied with lately. Many people don't like to think. They do what's easy. They want easy money, easy tasks, and routine stuff that doesn't require much of them. What will distinguish you from the average Joe is thinking outside of the box, putting some creativity and strategies into your daily workload. It's not easy to focus deeply. Research by psychologists like Hoffman and Baumeister has pointed out that many people act on their desires all day. They are actively searching to satisfy their cravings. After the most important needs, such as food, sleep, or sexual urges, there is the distraction, which has become the biggest one. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube have become major whiners that demand our attention at any given moment, and enslaves those who give in to phone addictions or receiving notifications. Newness in itself can be an addiction, something a lot of internet zombies in this modern age have fallen for. However, staying away from a lot of internet platforms still doesn't make you someone who is engaged in deep focus. Here are some things scientists in this field have found to be useful, confirming some of the things I mentioned before. 1. Total seclusion. I talked about it before, but it really matters. So let me emphasize it again. People can be a distraction. I have an uncle who worked at home at a certain point in his life. My aunt said that he didn't even allow her to enter the room unless she called him first. He would descend to the basement and perform his tasks there, far away from the rest of the family, with no one to bother him. Other ideas may be just to go to a place in nature and find yourself without internet. 2. Schedule time periods of deep work. If you schedule it in, you don't have to think about it all day long, or allow yourself to think about other things when you are working. My wife and I decided, for example, that I would only work from 9 in the morning until 5 in the evening, except for when she was gone and I was left to myself to do whatever I wanted. This had 2 benefits. A. She would know when I would be done, and B. I had the assurance that I wouldn't be bothered before 5. I think my effectiveness at what I do has improved this way. 3. Get into a rhythm. Stand-up comedian Jerry Seinfeld, for example, said he checked a box on the calendar each day he worked on writing jokes. After a while, he didn't want to break the chain of checked days, and he kept focusing on finishing it every day. Silly compulsive things to finish stuff can have a major impact on the human brain, and you might as well use it to your advantage. I hate it when I cannot finish something. I love it when something is done. It gives a sense of fulfillment. 4. Switching off between shallow work and deep focus is not for everyone. Therefore, to prevent yourself from going nuts, you need free time with relaxation. You need time to just sit and think. It's okay to do so, and don't think that this is a waste of time. To let your thoughts flow without having to concentrate can get your thoughts aligned, so that you will be more capable at a later moment to get back into the concentration habit. It's like a swimming pool. You can only discover that secret treasure at the bottom if the water is completely still. When the waves are being tossed back and forth, it's hard to see the bottom. 5. Have the guts to be bored. Stop looking for distractions. You don't have to read your work email in the evening. It's okay to do nothing every once in a while. I've even heard of people who have disconnected from the internet or social media for a longer time period, and they loved it. Even if you don't completely disconnect, you can at least minimize the time you spend on it. Chapter 7. About attention. One of the problems of mastering attention, and controlling it in that sense, is that a lot of people don't even know what attention really is. Being able to focus on one thing at the time is only one aspect of the broader definition of attention. Attention does, in fact, come in different types, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. Mastering or controlling attention is the same as managing attention. Attention means you withdraw from certain things so you can deal more effectively with other things. There is always so much going on around us and inside of us that if we didn't have the ability to attune ourselves to something in particular, we would go crazy. In fact, neuroscientists believe that the reason LSD causes psychedelic experiences is that the drug inhibits our brain's attention networks, thus causing sensory overload. If we didn't have the ability to pay attention, life would be one long LSD trip. When we pay attention to something, we literally pay the price, because it takes our time, energy, money, or something else away from us. Determining what deserves our attention, as I've indicated in one of the previous chapters, is, therefore, essential to our world of existence and the way we experience life. I am by no means a Star Wars fan, but I think we can both agree with Yoda's statement, "Your focus is your reality." Everyone is different because their concepts of reality are different. This happens when they pay attention to different things. Take, for example, the movie Life is Beautiful. The Italian father made sure that his little son only focused on the game aspects of hide and seek and other things he made up. The son was thoroughly convinced that he was in a competition, not a concentration camp. This is actually a movie I am crazy about. It's funny and inspirational. Back to paying attention. Haha, did you see what I just did there? Okay, but seriously, everyone has different shots of reality because of the things they zoom in on and think about. Attention, therefore, is a complicated combination of cognitive processes. A lot of words with cog. The benefits of managing your attention. There are many benefits of learning to control your attention better. You would be surprised by some of these, I bet. Let's take a look at the proven results of better, more focused attention. Positive focus and happiness. If you are able to manage your attention, you'll be more capable to ignore negative elements, people, or events in life, or deal with them more effectively. You will be better at concentrating on the positive. Better relationships. Another person will feel more understood, acknowledged, and cared for if you pay more attention to him or her. Improved opportunities. You will recognize new opportunities better because you will be more successful at shifting your focus in a controlled way. Deeper thinking. Instead of having your mind wander off to insignificant, fleeting elements, you will be better at reasoning and creating new ideas. Analyzing skills. You will be more likely to analyze things correctly if you are better at focusing on them. You will be better at critical thinking, and you will avoid mistakes by drawing the right conclusions. Increased creativity. You can generate more positive ideas and think out of the box when you can focus more effectively. Types of attention. There are several types of attention, so without beating around the bush, pay attention to the following types. Involuntary attention. This is the kind of attention that we don't consciously control. Stimuli in our circumstances and environment are forcing or directing our focus to them. For example, if we hear a noise, notice something new, accidentally look at a seductive picture for a second or two, or makes us aware of surrounding dangers. Involuntary attention is essential to our survival and can easily be used when hunting, protecting ourselves, or escaping. Eyewitnesses to a crime often remember the murder weapon, but rarely the face, because their instinct for survival wants to make sure it doesn't hurt them. The downside of this kind of attention, however, is that it causes distraction. Novelty, funny, or appealing colors, memes, or images are part of the distracting internet era in which we live nowadays. Sometimes this involuntary part of ourselves allows us to enjoy and take in the things around us, and focus more on a smell, a sound, or a scenery. Nature, especially with your phone turned off, can provide such a stress-relieving setting. Voluntary attention. This is a process of focusing with control. We deliberately and purposefully make a decision to pay attention to what we want. It requires willpower, effort, intentional concentration, and exercising. You decide what you focus on, what you choose to ignore, and whether to respond, like when the cell phone rings or when you are writing, reading, meditating, or playing a computer game. The more stimuli are competing for your involuntary attention, the harder it is to stay involved in the things that require our voluntary attention. My dad, for example, goes nuts when too many people are talking, because he has a hard time staying focused on one conversation. We all have the ability to ignore external stimuli, like babies crying, dogs yapping, the TV, or other sounds in the room. We all choose to look away when an advertisement is not interesting, or something else. It is what helped mankind build cities, win wars, paint masterpieces, or make scientific discoveries. Voluntary attention helps us to focus on what needs to get done or figured out, and therefore it is very valuable. Sadly, some of us throw it away to stupid news flashes or other things that don't help us progress in life. Since we almost have an endless supply of willpower and voluntary attention, our ability to focus on something isn't limited either. All we have to do is decide what we focus on. The more our society is filled with technology and opportunities, however, giving us everything we want, the more difficult it is to ignore all those noises, notifications, messages, billboards, and other stimuli. The good news is, though, that we can train ourselves to focus on something, which I pointed out in earlier chapters. Daydreaming. This is the same as mind-wandering, or simply staring and being a space duck, to call it that way. You stare, you're not present in the moment, you don't allow external stimuli to capture your attention, and you are not focused on something around you in particular. It often happens during low cognition activities like routine stuff, exercising, showering, or watching our children play. Sometimes we say that we are out of it. It typically happens more when we are fatigued and our focus levels are down. When we engage in this daydreaming activity, we trigger the same brain areas as when we pay voluntary attention to something. Interestingly enough, we are paying focused attention to our inner thoughts. I remember working at a factory, and my brother asked me how I could do such a tedious job for several days in a row. I told him, I just turn off my thoughts. Well, of course, I didn't really turn them off. I just wasn't thinking a lot about what I was doing. Science has shown that 50% of our wakeful thoughts are aimless daydreams. Memories pile up and are being processed. Sometimes, and this is the negative aspect of it, we allow our thoughts to drift towards pessimistic thoughts or emotions, feeling unaccomplished, worried, unappreciated, frustrated, or embarrassed. Research has shown that even neutral thoughts can lead to this putting ourselves down and feeling discontent about life. What is interesting, however, is that when we voluntarily pay attention to a specific activity again, we tend to feel better, and the brain's regions that involve emotional, self-sabotaging thoughts are quieted down. The real conclusion here: forget yourself, get over it, and get back to work. This is really good advice indeed. It's not all bad, though. Our minds float away when in this state in an attempt to solve those problems. And sometimes, we actually come up with solutions after we align our thoughts. Also, sometimes we tend to daydream about possibilities, so we plan the future, engage in moral reasoning, and analyze the possible outcomes of our life. Another positive aspect of daydreaming is that it boosts creativity. Experiments have been done about daydreaming and mind-wandering, and the findings were all the same. Those who did came up with more creative ideas than those who just went to work. Brainstorming can be an inner, silent process with great results. The last thing about daydreaming: it gives your attention span a break. Isn't it just wonderful to ignore all voluntary and involuntary stimuli and think about nothing? I heard a stand-up comedian say one time that when you ask a man what he is thinking about and he says, nothing, he really means literally nothing. When a woman says she is thinking about nothing, her thoughts are as empty as well, except for the fact that there's always a little market booth, florist, or clothing shop in the corner of her thoughts. Narrow and broad attention. These are two different things. The one, broad attention, helps you focus on the big picture and stimulates plans, schemes, relationships, and, interestingly enough, optimism. Studies have shown that focusing more on the broad spectrum of things and allowing our perspectives to look beyond our current situation helps us become more positive and work towards our goals. In this sense, it boosts our effectiveness in the long term and can help us clearly see the insignificance of certain little events that take place and annoy us. However, narrow attention isn't necessarily always worse. It allows us to hyper-focus on a specific task and work out the details with greater precision. When you focus on the big picture, you can get stuck in a planning phase or idea phase and never get to the bottom of a serious task, like writing a book, a blog, or performing a surgery or something. Then again, people who always focus on the little things may miss the big picture, and they can develop a problematic tunnel vision that doesn't help them move forward. The solution? Balance these two out. Focus on the big picture and narrow down your focus when something specific needs to get done. Thanks again for buying my book. If you have a minute, please leave a positive review. You can leave your review by clicking on this link. Leave your review here. Thank you. I take reviews seriously and always look at them. This way, you are helping me provide you better content that you will love in the future. A review doesn't have to be long, just 1 or 2 sentences and a number of stars you find appropriate. Hopefully 5, of course. Also, if I think your review is useful, I will mark it as helpful. This will help you become more known on Amazon as a decent reviewer, and will ensure that more authors will contact you with free ebooks in the future. This is how we can help each other. Take a look at my other ebooks too. Self-Publishing for Beginners, Book Marketing Plan, Photoshop, create professional book covers in 30 minutes. Or just get them all in this handy book bundle, Writing and Selling. Do you want to learn tricks and basic steps about publishing on Amazon for a 3-way passive income stream? Here's an excerpt of another book I wrote, Self-Publishing for Beginners. Chapter 2. Keyword Ranking on Amazon. I have seen so many titles on Amazon, and some authors write wonderful books, but just don't seem to understand how to sell. You see, Amazon ranking is almost like a simpler version of Google ranking, which means that whichever product appears on top will be the one that gets sold, or bought most. Google ranking has become extremely complicated over the past decade, but Amazon ranking is simpler and more appealing if you ask me. Not only that, but Amazon is a website people go on to buy stuff, not just to look something up. There are millions of credit cards attached to Amazon by millions of users. Nowadays, you can buy with one click a lot of products, including books, which makes it easy and quick for people to purchase something, and which eliminates the barrier of having to fill out all kinds of information, thinking it over, etc. If there is anything I learned by working in sales, it's that you need to have them buy it soon, because people forget. They are passive and even lazy sometimes. Amazon understands this and has made it that easy for customers. That was a little introduction about how it works. Now we'll go deeper into the keyword ranking techniques. It's very simple, but if you don't know about it, then it is like a big puzzle. I didn't know what I was doing at first and made a little money, but once I started understanding more, my sales increased a lot. So if you're not familiar with it, pay attention. People look for things on Amazon. When ranking books, you either go to Books or to the Kindle store. I usually go to the Kindle store. The paperback and audiobooks will automatically be attached to the ebook version later. Go to the search bar and type in what you think people are looking for when they are searching for your book. For example, if you were writing a book about weight loss, then type in the following: weight loss A, weight loss B, weight loss C, weight loss D, etc. With every letter you add, watch what will pop up in the search bar. Here's an image of what that will look like. You can do this very quickly and take notes in the process. When you've found a niche market, which means that it's a theme people look for, which is profitable but not too competitive, then you can name those keywords the title of your book. Other things to consider. Disclaimer. This information is provided as is. The author, publishers, and/or marketers of this information disclaim any loss or liability, either directly or indirectly as a consequence of applying the information presented herein, or in regard to the use and application of said information. No guarantee is given, either expressed or implied, in regard to the merchantability, accuracy, or acceptability of the information. The pages within this ebook have been copyrighted. This has been Focus: Proven Techniques to Improve Your Focus. Written by Charles Jensen. Narrated by Nicholas Santaseer. Copyright 2017 by Charles Jensen. Production copyright 2017 by Charles Jensen.